All right, everybody, welcome to another episode of Brothers in the Foyer. My name is Crispin. I've got the brothers with me. We got Will, Mo, Ray, Isaiah, and Christian with us. And today we have a special guest who has a podcast of his own. It's our brother Leighton. So, hey, Leighton, we want to give you a moment real quick. Yeah, absolutely. Clap it up for Leighton one time. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. So I want to give you a space real quick, Leighton, before we get started to kind of tell us a little bit about your channel, your show, what it is. Let the people know who you are, what you do real quick.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. So I guess a real quick background on who I am. I'm Leighton. I'm from Chino Hills, California. A lot of you guys might know, because of the Ball brothers. Yeah, exactly. And so that's the city I'm from. I'm 28, converted in 2017. So what is that? Going on 7 years this year, which is crazy, on July 1st. So that's awesome. Married, for going on 7 years as well. 3 kids. Man, that's kind of my quick bio. But as far as my YouTube channel, I talk all about, bettering yourself, becoming a better man, a lot of self development stuff. In the middle of kind of like a rebrand right now. So my personal channel kind of took a backseat because the hat I'm wearing, the Squire program, is a program that I'm an instructor for. It's essentially a rite of passage experience for fathers and sons to go through this really difficult challenge. A lot of physically taxing challenges. Almost think like mock Navy SEAL training for the father and son to go through. And so when the son makes it through on the other end of that day, a long, taxing day, then he graduates, and that's kind of like the beginning of his hero story. So, anyways, we have a YouTube channel for that program. I'm the host of that, and we're kind of going through a rebrand. And so, as far as YouTube channels go, both channels are about bettering yourself. Helping you, men specifically, be better leaders, be better fathers, be better husbands. And just be better, mentors in society too, because you don't have to be any of those things. You don't have to have kids. You also don't have to, get married or have to be married. But I think that there's a lot of, there's a lack of strong men nowadays, just in general. And so that's kind of what we talk about.
Awesome. Appreciate that. So if I heard that right, and if the people are hearing what I'm hearing, you have 2 channels that you work on. One that you the host of, and one that's kind of like your baby yourself. What are those called? What do they find?
Yeah, so the big one is the Squire program. That one, dude, is crazy, man. I mean, you guys, I'm sure, know how like YouTube can take off in random ways. We blew up on YouTube Shorts in like 60 days. We got 200,000 subscribers, which is really crazy. Wow. We posted one short that just like did really well. The other ones did okay. But there was one of this, it was a father and son, black father and son, might I add. They were in the ice bath. We put them in the ice bath.
Yeah. And the son was the son was crying, couldn't take it, and the dad's looking at him like, "You can do this." I was that channel, but I didn't want to bring it up.
The video went crazy, dude. The video went crazy, which was awesome. Because, shorts is like what's popping right now, short form content. But then we kind of took a hit because now when we started posting long form content, people want to see the rough stuff, the gritty, like the ice bath, them getting dragged in the mud and all that stuff. So we're doing a rebrand right now. We're going to change to more vlog style stuff. But yeah, so that's the big channel, the Squire program. And then my personal channel is King Cookk, so King, and then my last name Cook, Cookk. So those are the channels if someone's looking for.
That's what's up. All right. So we got the Squire program and King Cookk. Go check those out if you haven't already. What made you decide that this is what you wanted to do, and then throw it on YouTube and put it out there for consumption?
Yeah, for me, the story really starts, especially with this type of content, because I didn't grow up with my dad. The stereotypical story that a lot of us or a lot of people we know kind of went through. My dad was incarcerated from when I was 8 or 10 months old. He always corrects me. I say 8 months. He's like, it was 10 months. I'm like, man, whatever, 10 months, whatever. I'll give you the extra 2 funky little months, bro. Yeah. So anyways, from when I was 10 months old all the way up until I was 24. And so I grew up without him. My mom, was obviously the parent in the household, did an incredible job. But I was always searching for that male mentorship, that leadership that I was lacking. And so I was looking a lot on whether it was in books, whether it was watching different, influencers, quote unquote. I loved watching Mike Rashid and Elliot Hulse and Brandon Carter and all these people. And I learned from them online. They became my mentors. And so anyways, I wanted to kind of be that person for maybe the next generation, or maybe that kid that's watching that's also looking for that. And so that's kind of what inspired me to start making content like that, because I know there's a void. Fatherlessness is, something that plagues this country, really the world, but this country, man. The percentages are scary, man, when it comes to how many people don't have their dads. And so I just wanted to make some content that could help them out. It ended up lining up with my mentor Bedros and pairing up with his program, the Squire program, and the whole thing. So it kind of, just all made sense. He also was a mentor to me. And so it kind of, starts from you stand on the shoulders of other great men, and then hopefully you can pay it back and be that for somebody else. So that's the inspiration.
That's dope, man. I do want to speak on some, because something you said really stuck out to me, and it was like that stereotypical, right, Black growing up without your father. And I want to just give you big ups for starting something like this, because this is how we begin to break these curses, and hopefully down the line we can just take out that word stereotypical Black, upbringing, being raised with no fathers, because it's just something that how to break it is doing exactly what you're doing, create an environment where we can actually be pro fathers and not broken homes.
Right. No, I appreciate that, man. Thank you. And I agree with you.
Just a quick question for you, Leighton. How has that changed your perspective on being a father? You said you have 3 kids, and I and most of the brothers in this group have grown up in a household, single parent, whether that was, our mom or our dad. So how has that shaped your parenting and the way you try to help your kids and stuff?
Yeah. So I'm very involved, because of that. I don't know if I would be less involved if I had both parents in my house, but I only have the example of not having my dad in the house. And I know part of that makes me more involved with a parent. Now that I became a parent, I'm very hands-on. Like, I do a lot more than most dads do. And I know that because, my wife, Betsy, will be talking to either her sister or her homegirls or whatever. And they'll be like, Leighton does that. He does. Oh, he picks them up from school too. And then he does this. And like, I'm low key, like, I love hearing it, because I'm like, yeah, like, tell her what I, what I'm saying? Like,
let them know.
That's right.
Like, yeah,
let them know.
I'm the man.
I really take pride in it, of being hands-on and being involved in my kid's life. Like, I love it. And so I think that's the biggest way that it's affected me, where I don't want to miss anything. I was actually talking to my mentor, Bedros, and I was asking him advice on how to build this personal brand and how to build this empire, and some plans that I have coming in the future. And he was like, man, this is how you're going to do it. But here's the thing, man, like, when I was building up one of his biggest companies is Fit Body Boot Camp. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that. But it's an international fitness franchise. And he was like, when I was building Fit Body Boot Camp, I wasn't as involved, like nearly as involved in my kids' lives as you were, because I was so busy building this empire. And so he was like, it's not to say that you can't do it, but you're so involved that it's going to be difficult juggling and wearing different hats. And I said, okay, I hear you loud and clear. And so, some things you kind of have to sacrifice sometimes, but I wouldn't trade it from the world. Like, some of these memories, like, I'm all about creating memories, man. And maybe that's also like almost like a therapy session right now, thinking about it.
Yeah.
Maybe that also has something to do with my upbringing of wanting to take pictures and videos and take them to Disneyland and take them, whatever, and just enjoy the moments and create those moments that I didn't have. That might be part of that.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. I like how you said that, because when we were growing up, my parents divorced when I was 12. And so I'd always watch, sitcoms and stuff like that. And some dads were goofy, some dads, but they always were consistent in communicating with them. And I like how you said Disneyland. Remember, we took our kids to Disneyland. I was so happy. Like, I love documenting what's going on, so I can have those memories. Because growing up, I don't have that many pictures or anything documenting my earlier childhood. And I remember I'm filming the parade. And then I stopped filming the parade, and I just start filming my daughter and her reaction to that, because that's something that I can give back, and bringing in, just like how you said, just the consistency of being in their lives. I mean, I try to find like with those fathers that we saw on TV to really have that discussion with the kids. Hey, what's going on? You know what I mean? It feels corny, but those were some of the things that helped me through where I learned fatherhood. You know what I mean? How to navigate. So I like how you are invested in your children's life. Love it.
Yeah, definitely, man. That's everything. You know, that's the next generation, and it's our seed. You know, like if you're gonna invest in anybody, you gotta invest in your family. And that's everything to me. So family is a huge, you know, part of I mean, that obviously my life, but like my personal brand is bettering yourself, of course. But I talk a lot about leadership and leading your household effectively, and being a good dad and being a good husband and showing up, supportive. What does that mean? So it's all relevant for sure.
Love it.
Man, I appreciate that. And like we were saying before, there's a lot of parallels, and you're one of the reasons why we started our channel. It's really funny how you were talking about how, you know, certain things in your life just kind of you got passionate about and you just decided, you know what, I'm just going to share this with other people because it matters to me. I feel like it matters to others. And you just kind of just started doing it. It's kind of like how we got started as well. You know, I mean, we didn't know each other before. We ended up here in Utah all together, and a mutual friend kind of decided to make this large group of all these brothers in Utah. And how we met, and we decided, you know, we were going to have like this big group lunch where as many as could make it would get here, and we just hit it off. And, you know, just like now, how we're chopping it up. And it's funny how you said this is kind of like a therapy session as you go through it. That's what it was for us in a real sense, just having other brothers like ourselves who know where we're coming from, the type of upbringing. When we bring up like innuendo or jokes, they get it because they come from the same type culture. They know exactly the perspective we're coming from. It's just so refreshing to be in a room with other people who know what I'm saying, and how I'm saying it. So it's just it's really amazing to hear your story and how you got started, especially with your content and what it's doing for you and the families and that you're working with. But, you know, you were telling us about how it was when you were growing up. And we got to ask because, you know, we're all members of the church ourselves. And we all have our own stories as to how we got here. But we want to hear just, you know, in your own words, I guess, how did you come in contact with the church? How did that even start in Chino Hills, California?
Yeah. So I grew up skateboarding, sponsored, traveling, you know, doing commercials, the whole thing. And just another, you know, oddball out. You know, my cousins used to clown on me like, damn, you still skating out there with the white boys? Like my cousins are from LA. And so they used to clown me, whatever. But then when I started getting sponsored and started getting really good, then it was like, all right, respect, like it was cool. But in the beginning, you know, that's how it was. So anyways, I was a big skater and I worked at the skate shop called Active Ride Shop. My now wife, Betsy, worked there. I was one of the managers. And so we just became, you know, good friends. I didn't know that I knew that she was a member of the church. I didn't know what that meant exactly. I just was like, oh, Mormon, like, that's crazy. Like, I was kind of intrigued because I was like, but you're Mexican, like, you're not Catholic. Like, that's kind of like, it just threw me off. I didn't know there was a whole Spanish word or whatever, right? And so the only LDS people I knew were, I had a family on the cul-de-sac I lived in when I was growing up. And they were like stereotypical, like Mormon family. There was like 10 of them, like all white hair, like white blonde hair, blue eyes, you know, great family. Like I was friends with the boys in their family. And so it was cool. We hit it off. I know that they were Mormon, but I didn't know like what that really meant. We're like little kids. We're not going to have any spiritual conversations. So it was just, I knew they were my friends. So growing up, that was my only interaction. And so I thought that was the only kind of people that was in the church. So when I met her, I was like, that was interesting. It was kind of like a mental note. Like I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't really want to like entertain it. But like, that's interesting. Cool. You know, skip past that. And then we became, better friends. So started off as kind of acquaintances when she started working there, you know, became better friends and then good friends, best friends. I started learning Spanish before I met her, but when I made friends with her, it took it to the next level because we go hang out and we do like little Spanish lessons and stuff. And so we just got a really close bond that eventually started dating. And, you know, nothing abnormal about the relationship as far as our beliefs because she wasn't active, you know, so we didn't have to have that conversation yet. another big part of the story. So two things in this, I guess part of the story is my mother was really big Christian. And so I grew up going to church every Sunday, church camp, the whole nine. So my relationship with God has always been solid. That's always been my foundation because of her. So it wasn't weird that, anybody went to any church or that they have any kind of religious beliefs. Like I always jived with that. That was cool. So that's kind of my backstory as far as, upbringing, as far as religion in general. So then when I met Betsy, she was an inactive member. So I was like, I don't know what that means, but I know you're not going to church. So whatever, we're dating, hanging out. About 8 months in is when it was like really awkward, bro. Like it was on my birthday too. It was crazy. It was such a bad timing, like to have this conversation. We're driving home, we went to the San Diego Zoo, which is about 2 hours away from where we live. And so we went out there and I think we were driving home. She's like, hey, so I want to talk to you. It was like one of those, we like turned the radio down. I was like, oh, nah.
I'm in trouble.
Like, nah. And she, hey, yeah, literally, man. So I'm just like, what's up? So I want to get sealed. And I'm like, okay. I don't know what that, I literally had no idea what that meant. I was like, word, like, yeah, we go right now. Like, is there a fee? Like, what do I pay? Like, what is it? Like, I just knew it was taking the relationship to the next level. I didn't know what it meant though. She's like, no, you're not getting it. You have to be a member and you go to the temple and this and that. She's kind of breaking it down for me. And I was like, damn. I was like, wait, I gotta do wait, what? So anyways, it was mad awkward, bro. And then anyways, it was like, one of those things where I was like, well, let me take a step back. I don't really know if I can do that. Maybe we split for now. I don't really know. Like my mind was like, in circles, man, just going all over the place. But I knew that we both loved each other and I was willing to at least, learn about it. So I naively started Googling stuff that night when I got home. Worst thing to do if anybody's investigating the church, man, talk with somebody, talk to one of the brothers on the chat, man, right here, or talk to somebody that's actually a member. Don't go Googling stuff. There's a bunch of Mormon videos and articles and stuff. I found all of them and I was going all the way in scrolling. Like it was crazy. I found all these videos about, the black skin curse and the church is racist and, all this crazy stuff, man. Having no idea what I'm looking at, but I'm like, dude, this has to be true. And I basically was like, there's no way in hell I'm joining this church. So that was kind of my, I guess, brief introduction to actually learning about the church. Really, first, it was my friends growing up, but I didn't really know much about it. And then when I met Betsy and, she kind of intrigued or sparked the interest to even learn about the church at all, even remotely. That's kind of how I started Googling stuff and got myself in trouble there and found all these different things. I was like, nope, can't do it. Can't do it. And so anyways, that was short lived as far as my being turned off by the church because she was like, well, I forgot how it happened. I ended up basically one day I was like, you know what? I want to try going to church, like actually going to church with you and just seeing how it is. So I've texted her randomly and I was like, hey, did you leave for church? It was one Sunday morning. I said, hey, have you guys left for church already? She says, no. I said, cool. Okay. I want to go with you. And she was like, yeah, for sure. Like, she's excited. Right. So I meet them at the house and I go with her and her family and, everyone else is in suits and I didn't know what to wear. So I still have my ear piercings and I have my just a polo shirt. And so I was kind of like, I looked at her, I'm like, you ain't telling me you had to wear suits? She's like, I want to be comfortable. I don't want to already stick out enough. Like, tell me what the dress code. So I'm sitting in there, man, in church and I'm just listening, everyone's super nice, man. Super, just awesome. I had zero weird awkwardness with any of the members there. And so that was obviously great because I was like, just being honest, I was like looking for reasons not to like it. Like, I'm like, yo, anybody side-eyeing me, looking at me, because of my skin or anybody looking at whatever, like anybody trying to like talk to me a certain way because I'm black. I was like looking for things. I probably shouldn't have had that mentality, but it just, being raised, a certain way, your parents telling you things growing up, you're just kind of like, you're looking out, right? Yeah. So anyways, I have found nothing that I didn't like. Everyone was awesome. The experience was great. And that's what started me as far as going. And then, we'll obviously talk about the rest later, but that's kind of what happened and leading up to eventually wanting to take the missionary lessons and things like that.
That's dope.
That's awesome.
That's dope, man.
It's funny how God works in the ways that he does, This happened on your birthday.
Foul.
Yeah. Hey, I do want to ask. I don't know if this is. You can stop me, Crispin, if I jump the gun, but I do want to ask how. So when you were Googling stuff and you were reading about like, blacks being cursed and all that stuff, like, how did you overcome that?
Yeah.
It was really tough, man. That's a great question. It was really tough because even after I got baptized, I still hadn't fully dealt with that, if I'm being honest with you. It wasn't until maybe a year or two afterwards that I felt like I got that closure that I needed and actually started learning what the truth was. But I got baptized because of a very spiritual experience that I had during one of the missionary lessons. That was my, that kind of that moment for me. And so that was what pushed me over the edge to get baptized. However, I still hadn't really gotten the answer as far as, the whole thing about being black in the church. So yes, I was happy I made this decision. I got baptized, but then at the same time, I'm like, I still just kind of feel weird, man. I still, and to add insult to injury, man, there was one black dude in the ward. His name was Michael, but I'm not gonna lie to you, man. Michael was mad weird, bro. Like Michael, like seemed like would be like get out. Like I was like, if it was one of you guys, it'd be cool. What up, bro? Like, whatever. But Michael was very like, just like, he was almost like he was like under a spell or something. And I was like, that did not make me feel good at all. So
Wow.
I didn't help at all. Yeah, bro. I was like, oh, Michael tripping. So that was that. But,
Get out.
literally, it'll be over soon. Like, I'm like, nah, bro, Michael, no, let me help you get out of here. But, yeah, man. So that was tough for me. But maybe about a year or two in, I started just really researching, like the actual, church historians and talking to them. And then also too, I came across this guy. Are you familiar with who Mauli Bonner is?
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
The guy that brought us all together was your host, Bonner. Yeah.
Say again?
The guy that brought us all together in that lunch was his brother.
No way.
Yeah.
Dude, that's crazy, man. Small world, man. Dude, they're like, so, okay. So their ward is in Fontana, California, which is about 45 minutes from where we live. And my nephew was getting baptized, and that's their same ward. So when I went to go to my nephew's baptism, who was presiding over the meeting was Mauli. And that was like literally the second black person I saw since I've been baptized. And Mauli was not like Michael at all. He's smooth. He was making jokes up there. He was like cool and charismatic. And I was like, bro, that's what's up. I get goosebumps even telling the story right now. I was just like, I got to talk to this guy, man, after, I felt like this is like the answer, right? So anyways, I wanted to wait until the end of the baptism because, we're there for a reason. I think I had to give a prayer. And so I was just like, not really trying to make it about me. I was like, I'll talk to him afterwards. Well, after it ended, I don't know where he went. He was gone. And so I never got a chance to talk to him. Right. He was like, nope. And so I found his name on the pamphlet. I forgot what it's called, but on the paper with, the song, the hymns we're going to sing and everything. Mm-hmm. I found his name, looked him up on IG, then found out he makes first of all, they have the Bonner choir. And, they have a children's book, with two black kids on the front cover. Obviously there's all kids, but the black kids are on the front, I'm a child of God. Then he has a movie. His name is Green Flake. And I'm like, yo, this is what I've been like. I was like so happy, man. And so, so anyways, that's kind of how I dealt with a lot of it. Cause then I had a reference point, someone who was actually in the church that I knew lived the life and walked the walk and talked the talk. And so I got to watch videos from him on YouTube. And now I actually have the right source that I'm learning from and not just Googling stuff, not really knowing where I'm getting this knowledge. So that's kind of how I got over it, man. That helped me a lot for sure.
That's awesome.
Do you feel that like, I think that like, I love your story. But do you like, when you think back, do you think that if you would have, went to church at first, got the missionary lessons, got baptized and then found it, do you think things would have been different for you, or what do you think would change that?
Like meaning like if I got baptized and did all of that and then found
and
about
then, you started Googling stuff,
like
and
before I didn't know. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's a great question, man. I mean, maybe because I don't know. That's a good question. Like, I don't
I mean,
know if my attitude
it's
would be more
obviously
like,
hypothetical, but
yeah. Like, I
I'm
don't know
just
if my
like,
attitude would be more like, oh, snap, like they lied to me. Or
yeah,
if it's more like, nah, I know the truth. You know what I'm saying? Like, because it could be like they lied to me and they were just trying to get some diversity. Or it could be like, nah, I've been, I know these guys are cool. Like, that's not, this has to be fake. So I don't really know. I would like to say it would be the option B, that I would be like, no, man, I understand what's going on, and that people, hate on all churches, and
yeah,
they're trying to find different things to discredit it. So I don't know, but I know that learning like more about, people like you having a podcast with other people that look like me, and people like Mauli, and different people I discovered after that. And then also discovering that there's hundreds of thousands of Black members around the world, like that helped for sure. So, yeah, I don't know.
yeah. I mean, it's just interesting because, like,
Yeah.
for some of us, right, we were born in the church, raised in the church, and experienced the church from the inside, and then got exposed to outside type things. And so,
yeah,
like,
and
obviously,
it's different culture too. Yeah, like, are you guys all in Utah?
Yeah. We all live. We all live here. Yes.
Yeah, we all live
Okay,
here.
we're not really all from there.
Correct.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, for sure. So, is anybody from California originally?
My wife.
So we got Vegas, Texas.
Hey,
Nice, Texas. Shout out.
I was born in Santa Ana, and then we used to go to the Santa Ana Tongan Ward over there. So we'd go back from Arizona, but we'd always go back to Santa Ana every Christmas just to go to dance and stuff like that. So yeah,
nice, man. Okay, cool. So I only ask because I know the culture is so different. Like, a lot of people will say, well, yeah, I mean, of course, obviously, if you're Black and going to the church, already you have a different culture because we're Black. We've been Black first, right? And then, white people might have a certain thing that they do in the church that we don't, or whatever. So I get it culturally as far as ethnicity, that's already one thing. But also what I've noticed is that it's different culturally statewide as well. Like, California does things differently than Utah. Utah does something different than, like Arizona. Like, it's like very different, which is interesting. So it makes all these little different, cultures. And so maybe that also helps my experience too, because I feel like California LDS members are like more laxed. Like, it's a little bit more like chill.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and not to say that Utah is super hardcore, but it's just different. Like, I remember the culture shock when I first went to Utah for the first time, and I saw like streets called Lehigh, and I was like, whoa, where am I at? Like, this is crazy. Like, this is already after I've been baptized, so I think it's cool. But like, I was like, dang, they really holding the whole state down. Like, that's crazy. so it's just different. You know what I'm saying? But anyways, I don't even know where I was going with that. But it's I know it's cool. Like, culture. It's like, yeah, like it. I enjoy learning more about the different cultures within the church as well. And so I don't know if I grew up in a different state or how my experience would be different, but it's interesting to think about.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I wanted to follow up with the question because when we saw Mauli and Mike and then stuff like that, do you find yourself when you see other brothers in the foyer or other things like that, like, do you connect eyes and then you link up quick, or do you find like sometimes like it'll be a Michael and then you're like, man,
it's different. If I do find a Michael, that sucks, but it's like, you're still one of me, bro. But it's just something's off. I don't know. But it's cool. Like, if you're Michael, cool, man. Shout out to Michael, bro. I don't know if you ever seen it.
Michael, hey, shout out to Michael. I don't know, but I'll shout him out too.
We love you.
Yeah, man. So no, it's just different though. Like, I mean, even today, I'll just be real with you, man. Like, at Ward Radio, it's all white people except for Kwaku. And so, he was late. I was like, bro, come on, man. They already like, don't be the stereotype, bro. Like, you gotta be on time, bro. Like, come on. So he was late. So we were all hanging out. I was meeting the other guys and we were hanging out, talking, having a good conversation. Kwaku comes in last. And I said hi to everybody, very formal. It's kind of like I'm getting to know them. But automatically, Kwaku came up, what's up, bro? Like, what's going on? And they were like, you didn't say hi to us like that. I was like, it's just, I don't know, man, my bad. Like, Kwaku was like, what's up, big dog? It's different, But, I don't know. It's just different. So, yeah, it's just like, I mean, you guys know, it's like you just connect differently. Not to say you don't, want to connect with anybody else. It's just we kind of have something, it's like the whole clip of Obama shaking everyone's hands. how's it going? How's it going? And I don't even remember what black dude he saw, but he was like,
Yeah.
like it was like, it's just what it is. It's just that extra flavor,
That's dope.
Yeah, man.
So
I was going to
sharing that, and I appreciate that so much because it's funny. We all have our own experiences on how that goes, but Ray, what you said right there is like it's real. Like you find somebody black and you get super excited because, especially in this forum, you're not used to seeing many of us at least in the same place. And then if it turns out that they're not like us, or maybe they're a little weird or something like that, that letdown is real because it's like, oh, it's so close.
I was a weird one.
Well, I think too,
Haiti,
we're
coming from Haiti,
all
I was the weird
younger generation, right? And
I'm Haitian, so
like, I don't know if Mike's older, right?
Yeah.
But I definitely think that
he is.
There has something to do with like being the younger generation, and like things are like we don't have to be so standoffish. Like we can embrace each other and get to know each other.
I think that's a good point, man. That's a good point. I think that also had to do with the two. Michael was like for sure in his 60s, for sure. So he was definitely older, and so maybe there was like the disconnect. Like I just talked about different cultures between states and between ethnicities. The culture of ethnicities, younger generation. Age wise, age gaps, like younger generation, older generation. Like we don't even communicate the same. So that is a good point for sure, and I should give him more for that.
So probably didn't know.
Have you heard of Genesis, Leighton?
Yeah, the Genesis group, dude. So another thing that helped me as well, man. Like I'm telling you, like discovering, podcasts like yours, Ward Radio, where I got to watch the interview with Mauli, watching some of his content, learning about Darius Gray and all that. Like, man, it helped me so much, man. You guys have no idea, dude. Like, I honestly don't know if I would have continued in the church if I never found that. Yeah. Like, it meant so much to me when I found those resources, those people, his book. Man, yeah, it's such a beautiful thing, man. And seeing how faithful he was. He joined before the priesthood ban was lifted. Like I was like, dang, man, like that's a big freaking deal. So yeah, I take my hat off to people like him, and that really helped, like really learning who those people were and absorbing that content. So yes, I have.
Yeah, that was a big thing for me growing up in Arizona. Yes, I went to a Tongan War, but that's only one part where I could there's only one half of my stuff that I could share that the gospel. So Genesis was something that I always anticipated in young adults, and then finally going to my first, it was just amazing just to sit there and be amongst people talking about Christ. I think me and Isaiah, we always go just to the barbecue in the summer, and then the Christmas party. We go on the Sundays. but yeah, it's to be united in that way can help. It does help my testimony moving forward to know that, oh man, people are fighting the same battles or understand what I'm going through and still pursuing. So yeah,
it's major, man. It's major. Like I don't know if you guys feel like this, because I know that a couple of you said that you grew up in the church. I don't know if that's all of your stories, but for me, I obviously didn't. My mom, growing up, Christian. My dad converted to Islam on the inside, like many do. And so when he found out, like, he almost like blew a gasket. He was like talking to my mom. He's like, you know what that boy's learning about? Does he know? Like whatever. He was going crazy. And so, yeah, it was not fun times, but I mean, it is what it is. Like, I'm like, I'm my own man, and, okay, whatever. But I mean, I felt like an island, so not only am I dealing with not seeing any representation, like in the church, and not really having anyone to connect to in that way anyways. But then also too, my own parents are just kind of like, my mom's supportive of everything, but she's kind of like, I don't really know much about it, but good for you. Like trying to like be supportive. And so you kind of feel like an island in multiple ways. And so, again, another reason why finding this kind of content helped me so much, because it was like, man, I could like lean on, like I have somebody. You know what I'm saying? So this is major what you guys are doing.
Absolutely. Man. So like that's something that I think we share, because you were saying how in your journey when it came to like just strengthening your testimony, finding out one that there are other brothers like you in the church was strengthening. Then next, it was finding out about the history of the church from brothers in the church was also strengthening as well. And I think that's something that we all, in a way, can kind of relate to, because finding out more about how Blacks contributed to the church is something that's really helped me out. And it's funny because, we live in America. So like Black history, American history is a tumultuous history, right? There's not a lot when you go back that far that was like, everything was all great. And even to find out how things happened in the church and to find out that real story, good, bad, or indifferent, strengthened me even more, because Blacks were already going through what they were going through slavery and everything else at that time socially throughout the United States. But then to also see the perseverance through that is always strengthening. But the perseverance through that, as well as some of the issues that they confronted through the church as well, has definitely helped me. So I have a question for you, and I think this is really funny because we've all got our own stories with this. Being Black in the church is its own experience, no matter where you are, because there's not a lot of us, and they're not always used to seeing us there. I know you live in Cali, so I know the white people are used to seeing Black people in Cali, right? There's lots of us out.
Right.
In this space, maybe not as used to it, right? So what's a common theme or a common question you might get asked by your white members in reference to you being Black? Is there anything that usually comes up? And I can give you an example for me. We came out here to Utah to see General Conference for the first time, me from Texas. And I came out here and visited a young single adult ward because I was 18 at the time. And I got approached by the second counselor of the bishopric, comes up and he shakes my hand and my younger brother's hand. And he immediately asked, "So are you guys from Madagascar?" And I'm like,
Yo.
I served a service mission in Madagascar, and I just love the people so much, and I just feel he's from there. And I'm like, of the almost 100 countries in the continent of Africa, we were from the one place you visited for a year and a half. I'm from
Holy smoke. That's wild. Yo, that's crazy. I don't really know how I would deal with that. Like, I'm this cool person, so I'm not gonna like pop off.
Right.
But like, I'd be like, wow. Like, I'd probably just try and make a joke out of it. Like, like the movie? No. But anyway, but dude, that's crazy, bro. That's wild, dude. First of all, great question. I'm not gonna lie, this is like the one, because when you guys sent the email with the questions, this is one I was struggling with because I don't really know, man. I haven't, like, my experience has been great. Like, I don't think, I can't be an experience that bad because I can't even think of one. Yeah, dude, like everything, like I think overwhelmingly positive, man. Like, honestly, I think number one, it helps that I worked in Men's Warehouse. So my suit game was on point. It was like, everyone else is wearing like, the dark, charcoal gray suits or black or navy. I'm coming in with the burgundy plaid, the green, like, whatever. So I was like, you look like, man, just like every time. And actually, my wife's gonna laugh when she watches this. There's a lady named Sister Wright, older sister, bro. Like, I'm talking like probably in her 80s, right? But she's mad cool. And she, even when I was an investigator, bro, she was like hitting on me in front of my wife, like my girlfriend at the time. She was like, like, oh, if I was younger, and she one time, actually, here's a moment right here. She was like, yeah, I like, I don't know why. I love Black men. Like, I don't know why the blacks never liked me when I was younger. What is it about me? And I'm just like, Sister, right? This is not right at all. This is wrong. Like, I'm like, I'm right here with my lady. Anyways, but I guess even that's not really a negative experience per se. But I guess like something like that is like probably the wildest thing that anyone's ever said. But it's always been pretty positive, man. Like, people, just, I guess, genuinely just excited that I was even willing to even, come in and learn. And so it was a good experience, man. So I don't have anything like a culture shock necessarily. Like I said, I grew up, being Christian. I guess growing up wearing suits in the church was like not a thing for me. I guess you could say Orthodox Christianity is very lax. Like, have some people come in their flip flops and their shorts, whatever. Now seems very weird to me now. But before that was normal. And it's like, they got the rock music when they're worshiping and people are jumping like it's a concert, like way different, bro. So I guess that was different where it's all formal and just like, hello, you know what I'm saying? Like that kind of vibe. But I mean, regardless, I worked in Men's Warehouse, so I worked in formal places and, but that's probably the biggest thing I think.
And that might be maybe it's not the church thing for me because I grew up in Dallas and I can't I ever had anything weird like that get asked to me, like when we go to state conference and stuff like that. So I never got those questions like that until I came out to Utah. And, here in Utah, lots of white people who've all served missions all over the world, some in a lot of places in Africa. But for me, that's the one I always get, especially from older women and older ladies. It's always hey, brother, where are you from? But it's like, no. In their mind, it's like, no, where are you really from? And I'm like, Dallas. Where's your family from? I'm like, Mississippi.
Right.
No, like, what's your ancestry? And I'm like, we've been here.
You don't know what tribe you're from? Are you serious?
No, we've been here since we came on the ships unwillingly. I don't know.
Oh, ma'am, I'm a Southern Bantu tribe,
You know what's crazy? I could talk about this with you guys. It's crazy that a weird dichotomy is like a lot of white people went on trips to Africa, whether it's a missions trip or just a vacation or whatever. And a lot of us Black people have not, because number one, it's expensive. And, it's a lot that goes into that we're not necessarily willing to do all the time. Sometimes you got to get vaccines to go there. And some things we're just not willing to do. But it's always interesting when like a white person's like, they go to Africa and they're like, oh, you never been? What? You never been home? And I'm like, this is mad awkward, bro. Like,
Matata?
Yeah. You never been to Wakanda? I'm like, come on, bro.
I can only say that because I served my mission in Kenya.
There we go. Shout out.
So I've lived in Africa. I know what it's like, and
that's dope, bro.
Like even when Crispin, when you said that, I just laughed because I had Malagasy companions.
Oh wow, okay.
And like they're the shortest people. And Leighton, if you don't know, Crispin's like 6'9".
Yeah. Holy smokes.
So like for me, I'm like, that's wild.
Yeah,
someone who lived there that like bro is out there for sure.
Exactly. He's a god amongst men out there, man.
Seriously. So I gotta just to flip the script a little bit and learn a little bit more about you. I gotta know, and our followers, as you follow Leighton and his 2 channels as well, you'll come to see this about him as well with his challenges. What got you into the world of boxing? If we could step away from just a little bit and find a little bit more about what you do outside of the church. What got you into boxing? Yeah. How'd you get there?
Yeah, I got into boxing because, truth be told, I got in a fight in 8th grade. It was my first real fight. I had gotten in scuffles before, but my first legitimate fight. It didn't end up very well for the other guy that I fought. I got the upper hand. I'll just say that. And I got expelled from the district. I had community service, anger management classes. They were trying to try me as an adult when I was 14, trying to lock me up in like adult, prison. And it was just a whole thing. And who I consider my older brother. His name's Aaron Weatherspoon. He was my mom's personal trainer at the time. And also King of the Cage champion, welterweight King of the Cage champion. So that's MMA. It's not just boxing, but he's very, good at striking. And he fell on tough times because number one, when you're fighting, you don't make a lot of money unless you're like one of the top elite guys. You're not making a killing like that. And so he fell on tough times and he was looking for a place to live. My mom was like, well, I have an extra room, if you want to live here in exchange for watching Leighton, because my mom worked night shift about 45 minutes away. And so, finding a legitimate babysitter she could trust while she was gone during the night in LA meant a lot for her. So it kind of worked out where Aaron moved in. He became a mentor, a big brother for me, lived with us for years. And I learned how to fight from him. I remember he just moved in about maybe a month or 2 before my fight. Like I was sounding like MGM Grand, about. But it ended up actually being like that, man, which is crazy. Was I heard the guy, this white guy on campus, I overheard him, calling me the N-word. It got back to me. So yeah, he was saying this, whatever, right? Dirty, whatever. And I was like, wow, okay, I'll handle that. It was one of those things like, tell him we'll meet at this place called the Creek Friday afternoon, whatever, because I wasn't going to fight out on school campus. Because my thing, I'm like, my plan is foolproof. I'm not going to fight on campus and get expelled. I'll handle it after school. No one will know about it, whatever. No. So anyways, what happened was I was on like a Monday or Tuesday. Aaron, who I lived with us, had all these different tapes because he was on a lot of those DVDs with like Mauricio Shogun and Rampage Jackson and these super just gangster people, right? Oh. And so I would literally like study them just for a couple of days. I would like have them in my room and just like be watching. I'm throwing combos, I'm like, I'm hitting with this and then duck under. I'm like, I was literally about to max this dude out in front of everybody. So I was like, it's a wrap. And so anyways, I just had these combinations studied in my head. And then I had heard, a couple days into this that he was going to bring a knife and supposedly try and stab me. So that built to the anger. I'm like, I got to finish it quick. While all this is happening, the hype was getting so big that the principal found out about it before it even happened. And so he already knew to start walking to that area where fights would go down Friday afternoon. He already knew. He started walking down there. So I'm walking to the Creek. He's already there. And I turn the corner around this brick wall where now you can see the rest of the kids. And it's like a stadium, bro. I'm talking like Gladiator, Spartan. Like there's like all these kids like surrounded, making a circle. Like, yeah, he showed up. I'm like, yeah, of course I showed up. In my mind, I'm like scared though. Like on the inside, adrenaline. People always act like they're hard when they want to fight. Scared too, bro. Like it's really scary. So I'm like, yeah, man, of course I showed up. I'm saying what up to my boys, whatever. And so anyways, they open the circle up for me to walk in. Then people, move together. Now they close the circle up. We're in the stadium. And I just maxed him out, bro. Like it was bad to the point where, he clearly had no fight training. I only had about a week and some grade. So that helped. But literally, bro, like I got in so much trouble because he didn't hit me once, bro. I felt like I was Muhammad Ali. I was under. I was doing all the stuff right. And then I was throwing in the video because it wasn't just boxing. It was MMA. So I was like, then I grabbed the back of his head, threw a knee. And I was just going to town, bro. It was gnarly. So anyways, long story short, he ends up on all fours. And he's like gassed, right? And he's just like done, right? And like something in my mind, and this is another thing that Black people, we almost have like this like PTSD of like any kind of racial anything. We just get this rage. We turn into animals sometimes. And I remember I already won, bro. He was already on all fours. There was no need to do anything else. And I walked away. I was about to walk away. I turned my back. And in my mind, he didn't even say it. In my mind, I heard him say dirty Nigger again. And I turned around and just ran towards him and just soccer kicked him super hard in the head. And he literally did a backflip. He landed on his back and he's looking up at the sky, eyes wide open, not moving. And I was like, dude, I killed him, bro. Like I swear to you, I thought he was dead, man. He was just laying on the bed unconscious. And I'm like, oh my, I felt like the big bad wolf. I was the man, all these girls cheering like they're going crazy. And then I literally shrunk back into a 14-year-old boy immediately. And I was like, bro, I killed this dude, man. Like I was scared. I wanted to cry. I was like, bro, I didn't mean to take it this far. Immediately I turned, I'm not even that animal anymore. And so it was really scary, really scary. He didn't die, of course. So let me just get to that part of the story. But as this is happening, you can see Mr. Harmon, the principal, already walking down the hill. And I'm like, oh, snap. And then somebody in the houses, the neighborhood, they can see in their backyard, kind of through the bushes, that some kids getting beat up. So the cops and the ambulance were already called. So I hear the sirens coming. It was like my whole life was just like, it was just like, man, this is over. So I darted, I left, got caught, of course, and then got, all the things. And I guess told you expulsion from the district. And so that forced me to be homeschooled and everything. It was just a crazy time, man. Excuse me. But, that was a blessing later on because number one, that was what got me into boxing, where I was like, okay, I'm going to learn how to fight, but the right way. And my brother Aaron was like, well, you're going to learn how to fight, but you're also going to learn that once you learn how to fight, you're not going to want to fight anymore, bro. Like you're actually going to become a calmer person because you understand what you can do to somebody. You don't want to hurt anybody. And you know that you can also get another reason why they're trying to get me in more trouble was because they found out I lived with Aaron, who was a professional fighter. And they said, oh, he's trained. And they're like, dude, only for a week, bro. Like, this is like, nope. Lock him up. And so it was a big deal. And so he's like, man, I'm telling you, I'm going to teach you some things, but you're not going to want to fight after that. It's going to teach you some awesome skills and some control and discipline. It's tough. You're also not going to be the big bad wolf all the time. Sometimes you go to the boxing gym, you're going to get beat up yourself. Like it's about, it's really pull something out of you. So that's originally how I got into boxing, because of a fight at school and getting expelled because of that.
Wow. I think that's a lot of energy from you too. Yeah, it's just you don't understand. Like when you throw like 20 punches, like it's like you.
Did you ever? I had a few cousins participate in a thing back in Indianapolis called the Golden Gloves event. Did they ever have anything out in California like that? Like,
yeah, of course. Yeah, man. Golden Gloves is everywhere, man. Like you can become nationally, like, one of the guys, like, quickly fighting Golden Glove. I mean, the dude, it's such a small world, man. Yes, it seems like there's a lot of fighters and everything, but like at that level, dude, there's some super gangster people, man. Like some really good people.
Wow.
I had a fight, like an actual boxing match last month, which was cool. But leading up to that, I was going to a boxing gym in Ontario that's maybe 10 minutes down the street from my house. And I was boxing with some of their guys to help prepare me for the fight. And one of the guys was a Golden Gloves boxer, and he was like ranked number 5 in the nation. I did not know that before I fought him. Yo, I got beat up, bro. Like it was crazy. Like I was wrapping my gloves, wrapping my hands, and the coach was like, hey, I got someone to spar with you today. His name's Leo, really cool guy. And I'm wrapping my hands. He's like, he's a killer, but if he gets too crazy, we'll call him off. I'm like, all right, word. And I'm like, wait, what'd he say? And so anyways, Leo pulls up. He was a really cool guy. No, not even like he's trying to like flex on me, whatever. Yeah. Really, really awesome guy. He was cool, good attitude. But then, I learned very quickly, Leo turned into a monster once you get in that ring and they go ding, ding. I'm like, all right, let's get it. I'm thinking I'm good. I'm like, let's go. Pink, pink, pink. Like, it's like, yo, it's crazy. Yeah, those fighters, man. They're legit, bro. They're legit.
That's crazy. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So how long have you been at?
How many fights do you have under your belt? Oh, sorry, Chris.
No, you're good.
How many?
No, only that one, man. Last month was my first fight. So I answered both your questions. I think you were starting to ask how long I've been fighting. 12 years now I've been boxing. And so, but I mean, to really, I don't count some of those years just because it wasn't like in a gym. I do stuff on my own, hitting heavy bags and stuff. My first foundational years were training with my brother Aaron, who I learned the most from. And then he had moved. And so I started working out kind of on my own. And then recently, now working back with the coach, actually Aaron coached me for this fight. And so it was cool to kind of reunite, years later. I'm an adult now. And he's kind of, teaching me some things. It felt like kind of like a little Creed moment. But yeah, it was cool, man. It was cool. So yeah, just one fight. Next one is November 2nd. And so it's going to be something I do every once in a while where I just, get in the ring and mess around a little bit.
Hey, no, the reason why I asked, because one of my cousins here, he fights, he's a heavyweight, and he's going to fight
nice.
Some, like, I don't know the boxing terminology, like a gatekeeper, like to get him from pro, he has to go through this guy first. But yeah, if you want to set up anything here in Utah, there's just one promoter, Flash. What weight do you fight at?
I'm at 170. Oh, actually, I was at 160. Dude, the way this one worked was crazy because it was a 10-pound, like almost like range, like catch weight, where you could be you can't be any lower than 160 and you can't be any higher than 170. I was trying to weigh in at 170, but I lost so much weight. Like, our metabolism being black, like it's so fast. I was like, yo, I lost 17 pounds. And I was actually at 158 the day of the fight. And I was like trying to dude, I was eating like pounds of oatmeal, bro, drinking so much water before the weigh-in. Like I'm wearing like all my clothes on the scale. So I'm like trying to like make weight like the opposite way. Other people were trying to strip down, you know what I'm saying, to just the underwear. I was the opposite, bro. I'm trying to wear Timberland boots on, bro. I'm like, yo. So anyway, then the guy that I fought weighed in for sure at like 170 because I was like, bro, that dude's way bigger than me. But yeah, so that's the way I fight out.
That's nice. That's freaking amazing.
What's your style? Like your style of fighting?
I would say it's typically it's more defensive. But what I learned about myself during that fight with Leo, actually in the gym when we were just sparring, was that doesn't always win fights. You got to adjust on the fly, and you only learn that in the ring. And so I had in the fight with Leo, I had to go from being just defensive and kind of jab, move, and whatever to just aggression. Like if Leo is Mexican boxers are very they just straightforward. They can take punches. you're going to give them back. And so I had to learn to adjust to that. And so when I fought the guy in my actual fight, I literally had to visualize like it was Leo. I was like, all right, I'm not going to let this dude punk me around, whatever. So I go with the game plan, but very quickly it's just like aggressive. So I think that's actually what gave me the fight. Because to be honest, I'm not even sitting here saying I just demolished the dude. I think it was pretty close.
Yeah.
But I was definitely the aggressor. Like when you watch the videos, I was the one chasing him down the whole time, walking him down. I think that's why the judges gave it to me, because when you control the pace, they kind of favor you. Yeah, man. Yeah. So I'd say that's my style. Typically a little bit more defensive counter shots, but sometimes you just got to go in and just try and take the dude out.
That's just tough, man.
What's your favorite fighter?
Who's your favorite boxer?
Of all time, I want to say probably Roy Jones Jr. Really, really big Roy Jones Jr. fan.
Yeah.
Roy was bad, man. Didn't lose a round in 15 years. Next, I would say, if I had to say top three, be Roy Jones Jr. I love Floyd, so I got to throw Floyd in there. And probably Canelo also. Big Canelo fan as well.
I was going to say, like, do you like Floyd stand? Like, does he fight like southpaw? He southpaw like when he stands?
Yeah. Floyd orthodox? You're talking about Floyd Mayweather, right? Yeah.
He's like southpaw.
Yeah.
What's your stand on that? Like, what's your fighting stand?
Oh, mine is orthodox.
Okay.
Yeah, man. That threw me off too, man. I had the first time I've ever fought a southpaw was in my first fight, and naively I didn't prepare for that because there's not many southpaws, and so you prepare for fighting an orthodox fighter. That threw me off for sure because that was the first time I ever fought him. It's very little differences, but those little differences add up, and it makes a big difference when it comes to distance and your feet getting tangled up and certain things. Like that was kind of crazy. But yeah, man. So I fight orthodox, but I understand I got to train both ways for sure. Like Crawford, man, can fight either way. Like he's unique, man. He can do whatever you want to do.
Yeah,
he'll take it to you.
Bad man. You see him wrestling?
Exactly, bro. Wrestler, man. Deadlifting like 400 pounds in jeans. Like that dude is wild. Like, man.
He's strong, man.
Yeah, dude. The Omaha boy is crazy.
That's a different type of dude right there. So, I mean. I'm a bigger person. I'm 6'8", and I'm about 340 pounds working my way down, but that's another topic for another day. So I've always had it like, recommended to me to do boxing as like a great way to like get in shape and lose weight. So there's no question with this. It's just, I went in and tried it once and I've never been back because I'm not built for that amount of energy exertion. So,
not yet, bro. Not yet. We don't want to put the cap on it. I'm not an energy person yet. Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you absolutely can, man. You are built for it. I mean, technically, dude, you could just hold out your jab with most people and just sun them just like that. Like, just make them your little brother. Just like, nope, keep them at a distance. You got the long arm. I mean, obviously, you're heavyweight, so you'd be fighting, like, you're like Tyson Fury, bro. Right. Like, it's massive. Yeah, bro, you are built for this, for sure.
I'm not built.
Whether you enjoy it or not, that's the difference. I don't know if you enjoy it. I'm
not built for the journey. I'm built to maybe do it. I don't know if I'm to go through what it takes.
I feel it. Say no more. I get you.
But so you're doing so much, man, with the podcast, with boxing, everything else you have going on in your life. So what does success look like for you? Like you have all these things to where you're helping other people through challenges so that they can realize some things about themselves. What does success look like for you?
Being the best father and husband I can be is number one. But then closely behind that is trying to be the best mentor I can be as well. Like that's always something that's kind of been instrumental in my life. And again, going back to one of the first questions, talking about not having my dad earlier on, I think that was a permanent stamp. I remember there were a lot of really emotional days, like being a little kid and just like crying, like just like, crying myself to sleep, just thinking about what if my dad was here, or, maybe at elementary school, we had to make a Father's Day gift and all my friends are getting ready to, when they get home, they're going to give it to him. And I'm kind of just like, giving it to my mom or putting it on the shelf, imagining like what if, whatever. And so there was a lot of emotional times like that. I think that kind of put a stamp on why that will always be important to me is being the best mentor that I can be to the community at large. And mainly I feel like young men, young boys specifically, because that's what I needed when I was younger. I know that they need that. Not that little girls don't need it too. I have 2 beautiful daughters. But, I see that the importance that a young boy needs to have that masculine role model in his life. And mothers do an amazing job. Obviously, they raised us, so they do an amazing job. But you need, as a boy, you need that masculine leadership to teach you how to be a man, because your mom can't teach you. She can teach you some awesome things. Like, they are gangsters, they're savages, man, that to be able to do this on their own a lot of times. But it's still not the same from learning from a man, like a credible man, not just a man, because that's not enough either. Some people say, well, yeah, I had my dad in my house, but he sucked. No, I'm saying like a credible man, a man of merit that really wants to do good in the world. That's like, he's like the neighborhood dad everyone can come to. He can help him, teach him things. Like, I want to be that, man. So that's what success looks like to me, man. Being a great husband and father. But really, I'm here for, legacy and trying to become, one of the people that I used to look up to online, the Mike Rasheeds, the Brandon Carters, the, Elliot Holst. And like, it's really cool to be able to, kind of go on that journey. But I feel like that's what success looks like to me, helping the next generation better themselves in that way.
That's perfect, bro.
Oh, man.
That's perfect.
And
Appreciate it, man.
There's a lot of what you just said is the reason we built this podcast. That's the reason why we're kind of here with each other. We wanted to not only just kind of fellowship and letting other brothers know about ourselves, but we wanted to find ways through our experiences to help each other through this. The younger generation past us, we want to leave on good legacies on how to be even better than we are. But, for other brothers like ourselves that are out there, other people in general, whether they're members of the church or not, Christian or whatever, by the end of just, an episode with us, we want them to see what Black positivity looks like. And how we're trying to normalize it, especially in Utah where we are. That way it's not so foreign when people walk up on a brother and it's like, oh, you're actually here at the parent-teacher conference. Oh, you're actually... Yes, we're fathers like anybody else. And we were present. Yeah. So we really appreciate you and your time with us and sharing all this with us, because it was an absolute blast. But I wish you nothing but success. I know we wish you nothing but success, your type of success, as well as success in everything that you do. But we really appreciate your time, man. Lheighton Cookk, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate you.
Thanks, my bro.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, let us know of the next fight in November, man. Dude. I think we can make a trip. I think we can do that.
Hey, I'm all for it. I'm all for going back to Cali for sure.
I've never been.
Yeah,
you got to make it out, man. It's good. It's a good time, man, for sure. Especially, actually, November. No, it's still nice for sure. Like, it's California is really nice all year round, but it's not nearly as hot as in summer, because it gets kind of hot in summer. But for the most part, it's pretty nice year round, especially in Southern California. Northern California is different. Yeah. But down here, they're close towards LA. It's like, it's nice all year round, bro. Palm trees and all that.
Yeah. We'll promote you just a little bit, as much as we can.
Appreciate you guys.
No, hey, the Squire, man, yeah, that was a video that I saw, and that was amazing to see what the son could go through with having his father right there in a crazy time or a crazy environment, being in a cold plunge, and then to go under and being
crazy, man. Like, I love seeing it. Yeah, I love seeing the transformations myself. Like, I remember because I was one who filmed the video. I literally had 2 phones in my hand, and I was filming the dad and I was filming the son, and I'm looking at both cameras, making sure I'm holding them steady. And I was watching this moment in real time, like, yo, this is insane. Wow. I know it's not crazy, but I remember seeing it in person, getting goosebumps, like, holy smokes, this is wild. Like, this is like such a cool moment that they'll never forget. The kid got out of the ice bath. He like quit for a second. He's like, nope, I'm done. And he had, the balls to get back in. His dad was like, bro, you're not getting out. You got this. And he did it. And so it's just so cool, man. So yeah, bro, I really love it, man. I love it. That's so cool that you found that video.
Yeah, it's craziness, man.
That's
well, man, thank you again. Always happy to have you on. All that good stuff.
Most definitely.
Sweet. Thanks, gentlemen. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
All right, that concludes the.
Bro.
That concludes our episode of Brothers in the Foyer. Joining us. Catch you next time.
My wife came in here twice. You know what I mean? We got to go.
It's over. Yeah, I know it's even later for you guys, isn't it? It's 10:30, right?
Yeah, 10:30.
Yeah, 10:30.
It's time, bro. It's time. I get it. Hey, but seriously, fellas, thank you. I don't know if you guys have like an outro or something you film, but I'll let you guys take care of that. I really appreciate you letting me, just give me some time to talk about myself and meet you guys. This is a pleasure. And beyond the podcast too, man. This has just been cool to be able to connect with you guys and for a whole other reason, just for me personally. So thank you, fellas. Appreciate that.
Definitely, bro.
Hey, you got brothers here in Utah. You know what I mean? So if you come down, we'll definitely link up.
Appreciate it, man. We'll do. All right, gentlemen.
All right, bro.
You guys have a good night.
Love your night. We'll see you later.
Hey, that was great.
He's
Should we stop recording? Should we stop
That was
recording now?
hilarious.
About to.
That was hilarious. All right.
Welcome to another episode of Brothers in the Foyer.
Oh, shit.